Week 2 of the fantasy baseball season, and here's a few hitters I look to buy this week. The first guy, Juan Soto of the San Diego Padres. So far in the season, Soto off to a slow start, 3 home runs, 7 RBIs, a stolen base, 8 runs scored, a 217 average, and a 368 on base. So here last season, I know Soto, he only hit 242 and 27 home runs with a 401 on base. But right now, the batting average is way down. The RBIs isn't much as well with only 7 with the 3 home runs. And he's really been struggling. I don't know what it's been over the last season and a half with Juan Soto, but obviously we knew he was a 300 hitter for the majority of his career with the Nationals. But now last season and to start this season, the numbers are down. But the power definitely will come as the weeks go on. But right now, while he's struggling, he's a perfect buy low candidate. Obviously, you still got to give up a decent amount to get Soto, but not like you would in the beginning of the season. April 8th at Atlanta, 2 for 4, a homer in that one. April 9th at Atlanta, 2 for 4 with a run. April 10th at the Mets, 0 for 2. April 11th at the Mets, 0 for 3. And April 12th at the Mets in that one, 2 for 4 with a homer and 2 RBIs. So the Padres, they go home now to versus the Milwaukee Brewers in a home series. And we'll see if Soto could turn things around. But right now, while the numbers are down, like I said, even on the power, we'll even out when the season's over. This is the time to get him, because once Soto goes on a tear, obviously he could carry your team for weeks on end, no doubt about it. And right now with the struggles, it's a perfect time to buy him low. The next guy, Toscar Hernandez of the Seattle Mariners. So Hernandez surprisingly traded from Toronto to the Mariners in the offseason, and so far with his new team, it's been a struggle for Toscar Hernandez. 3 home runs, 8 RBIs, 4 runs scored, a 216 average, and a 273 on base. Just like Soto, we know the power is going to be there for Hernandez, but obviously the batting average is down, and he struck out a lot as well so far in the early going as Toscar. So the last few games here for him: April 7th at Cleveland, 1 for 5. April 8th at Cleveland, 0 for 3. April 9th at Cleveland, 2 for 6, a run, an RBI, a stolen base. April 10th at the Cubs, 1 for 4. April 11th at the Cubs, 1 for 5. With an RBI. And April 12th at the Cubs, 2 for 4 with a homer and 2 RBIs. So it was good to see him hit a homer in Wrigley Field in yesterday's ball game. But right now, we'll see if Toscar could get back on the track. We know Seattle isn't the greatest at hitting ballparks, but obviously the 3 home runs is still pretty decent in the early going. But the batting average is down, and he's not doing much of anything. Only 8 RBIs as well. So right now, while Hernandez is struggling and trying to find his footing with his new team over there in Seattle, I think this is a perfect time for fantasy owners to go out there and get him before he breaks out. And he's another guy as well that definitely could carry you in the power category as the hotter months get going. So right now, while he's struggling, it's a perfect time to buy him low. Next guy's JT Realmuto of the Philadelphia Phillies. On the season, a homer, 3 RBIs, 3 runs scored, a stolen base, a 200 average, and a 220 on base. So last season, Realmuto, he got off to a slow start as well in the beginning of the year, but he finished with 22 homers, 84 RBIs, and a 276 average, and had a monster playoff run as well. So the last few games here for Realmuto: April 7th versus Cincinnati, 2 for 4, homer, 2 RBIs. April 8th versus the Reds, 0 for 4. April 9th versus the Reds, 0 for 4. April 10th versus the Marlins, he sat that one out. April 11th versus the Marlins, 1 for 5 with an RBI. And April 12th versus the Marlins, 0 for 4. So right here, he's really struggling, is JT Realmuto. And this Philly team, obviously, without Rhys Hoskins and Harper, it's taking a hit on everyone in this lineup, and it's not as deep as a lineup, obviously, as it was last season. And Harper, hopefully he's back by May or June, but Hoskins, we know, is out for the season with the ACL. But right now, while Realmuto's struggling, and this offense is struggling for the most part over there in Philly, this is a perfect time to go out there and buy him low, in my opinion, because catch is still a weak position. Realmuto, we know, is a professional, and I think he'll get things going. Just like I said, Philly got off to the slow start last season and then made the World Series, and I think once again this season they could make a run. And guys like Realmuto, Schwarber, they'll get going as the weeks go on. The next guy's Alex Bregman of the Houston Astros. So Bregman off to a horrible start on the season. I know he popped a home run in yesterday's game, but he really hasn't done much this season. 2 home runs, 6 RBIs, 10 runs scored, a 196 average with a 339 on base. So he's getting on bases, Bregman, but he's pretty much not doing anything else besides helping you in on-base percentage. The last 3 games for Bregman: April 7th in Minnesota, 1 for 4 rib. April 8th in Minnesota, 0 for 3 with a run. April 9th at the Twins, 1 for 4. April 10th at Pittsburgh, 1 for 3, 2 runs scored, an RBI. April 11th at Pittsburgh, 2 for 5 with a homer. And April 12th at Pittsburgh, 1 for 3 with a homer, 3 RBI. So last 2 games he's gotten his 2 home runs is Bregman. And right now he's a guy that's in a slump to start the season. But he's another guy, when it's all said and done, by the end of the season, he's going to hit 20, 25 home runs, 260, 270 batting average. And right now he's below the Mendoza line. But that's obviously going to change, no doubt about it, for Bregman. We know he's a pro. And we know he's one of the better third basemen in fantasy baseball. So right now, while he's struggling, even though the last 2 games he has hit the ball over the fences, Bregman, he's definitely a guy still will go out there and get. And like I said, those stats are down there. And I think you can get him on a discount this week in the 5th and final hitter I looked to trade for and buy this week's his teammate Jeremy Pena of the Houston Astros. So Pena off to a bad start as well. 2 home runs, 7 RBIs, 9 runs scored, a stolen base, a 214 average, and a 279 on base. So last season was a great year for Pena. First year as a starter, 22-63 with this Astro team, filling in for Carlos Correa, who left in free agency. So Pena, we know, could steal some bases as well, 11 last season. And right now, he's not doing much of anything except getting a hit here and there is Pena, where he's actually on a 4-game hitting streak. So the last few games here for him, April 9th at the Twins, 2 for 4, run and RBI. April 10th at Pittsburgh Pirates, 1 for 5, a run. April 11th at the Pirates, 1 for 4. And April 12th at Pittsburgh, 1 for 4. So like I said, it's pretty much his hits Pena's getting in the early going. But if he could get those hits going, couple a ball game, and obviously find that pop as well, he definitely could get back on the right track. Shortstop's a weak position for the most part in fantasy baseball. And like I say, Pena's in a good lineup with a lot of protection. And it's just a matter of time before he gets going. So right now, while he's slumping in the early going, it's a perfect time to buy him. So that's a few hitters I look to buy here in week 2 of the fantasy baseball season.